Again. Oh my God. And hey everybody, welcome to the show. Mark, do we have your audio? Yes, hang on.
Yes, I'm here.
There we
I'm
go. All right.
alive.
I
Yeah.
had your audio pulled down for the intro.
My
Oh my
goodness.
gosh. Let's see.
Ooh.
What do we
Yeah, there was
got?
some shenanigans going on in the background before we started, ladies and gentlemen. One hell of a lead-in, Jono. Good job. Lead-in of the century.
Yeah, I just had to drop the little bomb there. And they're like, just a little something
Yeah.
funny and silly.
Like 5 seconds before we started, I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
you're like, what?
Yeah, we're out left field. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Monday.
Yes. Is it Monday? What day is this?
It is Monday. Somehow, strangely, Mondays are now very exciting to look forward to.
Man, now all I want to do is fix these pillows over here. It's driving me crazy.
Every time, I also have to reposition the camera. Anyways, enough about us. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Hope everybody's doing good. How have you been this week, bro?
Tired like usual. Been like, man, like, I don't know, like my other job, the airsoftology side, I've been like, I also own a patch company. So I'm doing like morale patches. I've been like nonstop, like in like packing mode, like repacking like big wholesale orders coming in. Let's see, Stu Baca in chat. So funny. So, but yeah, it's just been crazy. I got a lot. I mean, like, what's wild is I've got a lot of projects I'm working on, and like one massive one that you know about, but I can't share with everybody else just yet.
Soon enough.
It's
a
like
big one.
I hate to be that guy. It's like, oh, just wait and see. There's something, but I'm like, I'm not gonna big announcement or whatever. But it's definitely something pretty wild.
Yep. Something pretty wild. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever you guys are watching from. Welcome to another episode of Hopped Up Podcast. Let's get into our usual ceremony. What are you drinking today, Jono?
Today.
Oh, wow. Breaking out the hard stuff.
Yeah, I've got the Jameson Stout Edition. In fact, it's like very little left because it's already in my glass. I kind of was working on this ahead of time, so sorry, everybody.
Oh, man. So I guess this episode really does lend itself for the hard stuff. I'm going to pander slightly. I hope Mr. Koshida-san will watch later. I am drinking in our honor Harushika sake, bought for me for my birthday, actually, by someone very near and dear to my heart. And to pair it with my sake, I have a cool sake glass. A set. I got this as a pair.
Dude, that is
from
cool.
For my birthday. What's really cool is if I pour the cold sake in here, it'll change colors. So just for you guys, it pains me. I have to drink. So I'm gonna pour this.
Sorry. Yeah, I know you.
Masaki is here.
Wow. And then to pander to Masaki, I think he might recognize the glass that this is in. So, none of this is intentional.
No, it just happened to work out this way.
Yeah.
We don't always do this, Masaki, but when we do, we go all the way. So I'm going to drink this really quick because the glass changes color.
Oh, it's like the pink cherry blossoms come in.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Originally, it's a white cherry blossom. I got sake all over my hand. Originally, it's white cherry blossoms. When you put cold liquid in there, it gets to become this beautiful pink cherry blossom. So let me give you guys.
Your glass is super cool, man. That's
Oh, thank you. I got this from Miss Winky in the chat.
Oh.
So Miss Winky, good taste, and also fantastic taste. Choice of sake. I'm pretty sure Mr. Koshida-san will approve. Yeah. So I'm gonna give you guys a tasting note of this particular sake. Oh, very good. So this is a very extra dry sake. It's got a refreshing finish to it. I would say great with maybe like some oily foods, some what I put it, takoyaki, maybe not takoyaki. It's escaping my mind. Chicken skewers.
Yakitori?
Yakitori.
That's it.
Oh my goodness.
I had to lean into the mic for that one, like to
Sorry,
deliver.
like my brain wasn't functioning well right
The
there.
answer is yakitori.
That is what it is. So yeah, very refreshing, dry sake. It's great for drinking. One of my favorites. Masaki took me to this brewery in Nara, and it's fast become probably one of my favorite sakes to drink. So
Wait,
when it's founded in Hong Kong,
is that the one that has the sampler, or is that the Nara
yeah,
one where you do the?
that
little
is the one
small-
with the samplers.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, with the like the 50, the 30 sampler one.
No,
or
no,
is it
that's a smaller one. So this is
the one
in
I
their
went to.
brewery.
Then. The one that
Yeah.
has you get the little souvenir glass.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah,
Yep, been
possibly
there.
that's the one. Yeah, it's in Nara with all the deer. It's got the deer motif. It's a fantastic sake. Oh,
Yep.
Ho Ching Yang, yeah, karage. Yeah, I think it would go good with some karage too. It's a really dry. It'll cut through all the oil. Fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know if he's asking me about my glass or your glass. Is yours a Kiriko glass? Mine's
Probably
Baccarat.
mine.
Compliment. This is actually from the Lilacs, their Hall of Fame meeting. So
Yeah, that's the fancy one.
yeah, this was a fantastic what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Like the gift, the word that you say in Japanese for gift.
Chiban.
Chiban? No, not chiban. Something different. My Japanese is terrible, but it's a wonderful. I mean, this is like treated me. This is like my go-to glass for anything brown. So, tasting notes for mine. This goes well with drunken bar fights and fried fish. So, there we go. We're done. Mark's over here all like pinky out and talking about stuff, and like, hey, I'm doing Irish whiskey, so what are you gonna do?
Hey, I would too, but this is too good to pass up for tonight.
Tulsa person, is plum sake popular out there? Absolutely. The Yume, what's it called? Yume Shu. Yeah, that is everywhere. You can go to any place and find that, like 7-Eleven, Family Mart, all the convenience stores. You can find the Yume Shu everywhere. Yeah.
There is a go-to bar that me and the significant other go to a lot, and they brew their own. So they make a sake-based plum wine umeshu, and they age it and brew it in the bar itself. And so that's actually really good that they do. So that's something that I would highly recommend if anybody's in Hong Kong. Go to the Shack behind Times Square in Causeway Bay. They are great people. Oh, hello.
So before we get started, I want to show something. Again, this is probably my newest collection to my. I kind of wear I like watches, right? This is the newest collection. Very near and dear, very special. I have to hold this one up very close. Hopefully the focus will hit here.
Oh, that is nice.
So it's a Seiko, compliments in the
very
sake.
nice.
Now, if you probably can't see it in red, so if you look at the numbers on the dial, at the top you have a Roman numeral, at the bottom you have a 6, at the 9 you have a Japanese character for 9. Well,
the kanji character for 9. Yeah.
And in red, which you really can't see here, in tiny red writing, right there at the bottom across that line, it says "See you, Space Cowboy."
Yo, that is a really nice watch, bro. Not gonna lie.
This is a.
I mean, you're flexing a little bit, but
No. Actually, in the back you got a rose and a pistol. This is I think one of 300 piece. Misaki was awesome. He scored this for me. He actually let me know it was coming out. This is, I think, one of 300 or one of 500 made Seiko for. So it's actually remarkably affordable. Like, very. This is not like a super expensive, but super rare. And if you guys don't know, I'm a Cowboy Bebop geek, right? Mm-hmm. I love Cowboy Bebop. This is the Cowboy Bebop special edition Seiko watch they made.
That's really nice. That's so nice.
Yeah, even came out of I even took it out of the box and everything. I was like, it's just so absolutely cool. I usually like to show off, but this was like I would say monetary wise, it's definitely not the most valuable watch I have, but like collector value wise, it is the top of the pile, man. Like it absolutely means everything. So super cool. Like just really, really, really awesome piece. Since we're kind of a guys show here, I wanted to show it off. So
that's nice, bro. That's so nice. Oh, I just want to answer Ho Ching Young's question really quick. Hey, if you want to know the location, the address to the bar, shoot me a message on Facebook Messenger and I will hook you up. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, that's a super nice watch, man. Oh, since we're doing guy stuff and you're doing this limited stuff, I have to. Guys, I'm sorry. I feel like I am obligated to show this off because I'm so happy about this. Also limited. Give me a sec.
Yeah. And Misaki did say 300 made. Thank you. But yeah, such a cool piece. What do you got? Well, what do you have there?
So for my birthday, again, my significant other bought me a limited edition Super Bowl memorabilia football with my guy Tom Brady on it.
Got Brady on there, man.
Oh yeah, man. It's got the score, 31-9.
The GOAT.
You know, this is he is the GOAT. It's one of 2020. So it's limited. It's got my certificate up there. And this was the big surprise for me for my birthday. And so I get to I have my Patriots ball over there, and now I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl, memorable ball right here. So I'm super happy. So that's my little sum.
Little show and tell this week. All right,
I don't
so
bandwagon. I've always loved Tom Brady.
Mark likes to bandwagon.
Everybody knows that. I have an unnatural crush on that man.
So
I swear I'm
speaking
straight.
of unnatural crushes, that's an awesome segue to what we're talking about this week. This week we are going to be covering something a little different. We've covered food and drink for a while. We've had some great guests on. We've covered travel. Now we're going to be covering something a little different for two guys that kind of lived in both sides of the world. We're going to cover relationship differences in the East and the West. Now, we're not like dating and pick up advice and hook up stuff like that. We're just really talking about the cultural differences when you are dating and how interpersonal relationships work across both sides of the pond. In this case, the Pacific, not the Atlantic. So,
Yeah.
And I would say some of these things aren't going to apply to every Asian country. I think specifically our focus is going to be more like in your case, Hong Kong, and my situation here in Taiwan. I would say that if you go into other different countries, you're going to have a different experience. I would say that there's going to be some different flavors with the Philippines as well as Japan, culturally with dating and all in those situations, in relationships. But we're going to cover more of, I think, the countries that have more of a Chinese influence historically.
Exactly.
I think that's probably the safest way to say that. So.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's a question I'm sure you get a lot, too.
I actually
from
do.
Friends, family, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. We get these questions a lot. Like, what's the dating scene over there? Like, what's life over there? Like, especially they get really interested when they find out that we're dating someone from here as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's that like? Oh, what's it like? Oh, yeah, you do that. So it's actually quite interesting.
A lot of
So I hope
misconceptions.
that-
A lot of
there are.
I think there's a lot of assumptions like, oh, well, it must be like this for you. You get a lot of that.
Must be just like the anime. Believe it or not, it's not.
No.
Yeah. So you want to start us off with the first topic, Jono?
I think so. So there are a lot of things. Mark and I actually went back and forth, and we got some input from some others on what we felt were like the biggest core differences that we've experienced across the two sides. And it's not going to be your basics like language. Obviously, that's going to be a barrier and a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, with Mark, it's probably not, you don't have an issue. You're trilingual. In my case, I'm 1.15, 1.2. So which is.
Well, come on, man. You gotta give yourself a little bit more.
Yeah,
credit than that.
man,
You're
no, it's not good
fluent.
enough. I can get into a fight, but I can't talk myself
Conversationally,
out of a
man,
fight.
bro, you good, man.
Yeah, whatever. But first off, I think we're going to talk about one of the biggest differences that's subtle that you don't realize until it hits you here. Coming from I think it's going to be more of a challenge to someone who's Western coming to Asia. And I think a lot of these things could work both ways. So if you've grown up in an Asian country and you're looking at Western dating, I think some of these things apply both ways. And this is definitely one of them. And it's the stages of a relationship. And this is one I almost overlooked, and I was like, oh, wow, you're right. That specifically, at least here in my experience, that they are hyper defined.
Oh, yeah.
In the, at least in this case of a Chinese influence, Chinese cultured relationship, a country being Hong Kong, mainland China, which I have no experience in mainland China, but in Taiwan as well, that to move to the next stage in a relationship, you have to declare it.
Yeah, you do, man. It's I've grown up a big chunk of my life here, and my first few girlfriends I've ever had were from here or had a Chinese background or Chinese influence and so when I started to kind of date, Western girls, the transition from, we're just seeing each other to, oh, I guess we're a thing, is just, it's so like, it just happens. Here, you do have to take the steps. Like, I think one of the things is like, how you can kind of I don't know for you, Jono, but like I've always had experience with Western girls where you can kind of just, it's almost like an unspoken thing that, okay, I guess we're exclusive, you know, and
Yes.
you just know. Here, you almost have to like, hey, I just want to let you know, I just want to text you, or like I just, you know, you have to make it known somehow that, hey, man, you know, I'm just trying to go for you here.
Yeah, like it's the difference is it a gradual scale? Are there, 100 shades, from like just meeting someone to like
Hmm.
getting to like a serious situation, serious relationship? But in Asia here, at least in, like I said, my experience, there's one and then like a block, and you take a
Yeah,
massive jump to the next tier, and that tier is flat, and you sit at the next tier until you make that next jump to the next tier, and that tier is flat.
yeah,
There's no specific length to them, but like going from meeting someone to like being in a relationship
hmm,
is a very, very, very formal process. It
oh
is, you
yeah,
have to say like, hey,
yeah, it really
are we
is.
a thing? Are we really together? Are we
Or
some?
can we be a thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
Can we?
big one. Like, you got to come out. Like, asking a girl to date you is almost on the same level. I don't want to downplay this, but just kind of give you guys an idea. It's like proposing. It's like soft proposing without the ring, right? You know, it's got to be ideally something a little bit special, and you pop the question. You got to go and pop the question. You know?
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of people, and this might be a bit of a transition to step two, is that Western versus Eastern dating, at least the way things are happening now.
Hmm.
Typically, guys in the West and girls especially, oh my goodness, have opportunities. Girls that are still have a high SMV or sexual marketplace value.
Yeah.
They have the choice of the litter with dating apps these days. I mean,
Hmm.
if you know a girl that is actively dating, you have like a friend who is. I mean, I'm sure you're like, hey, open up your app for me. I want to see. I'm curious. Like, don't do this with somebody you're trying to date, but if you have a friend, or even like a sister or something, maybe you don't even want to see what they're sending your sister. Look, I mean, they will have, you know, 5,000 matches, like
Oh yeah,
100, like
100%.
200 DMs in like an hour time. And this could be anybody, absolutely any female. I mean, there is
Yep.
no, it's just starved for, I mean, they're not starved for choice at all, especially with these apps allowing you to date globally, like to look out globally. But I've noticed, and that's really a Western approach, really, that a girl's going to be always looking for the best suitor.
Yeah.
Guys, on the other hand, most of us, I think here, the larger portion of our viewership are male. We're out there hunting, right? We're looking,
Yeah.
we're trying,
Yeah. We're
and
trying.
it's definitely led that. But typically, guys are going to be spinning multiple plates. That's normal in Western dating. Like a guy's going to
Yeah.
have a
That's
few
very true.
girls he's going to be talking to at any given moment because there's so much choice. As a guy, you have to. You have to have these things because otherwise you can't put a singular focus. Otherwise, like just she'll ghost you in a heartbeat. Like just gone all of
Oh
a sudden
yeah.
one day. Like because she found a better choice, better something. Like that's pretty common. But here in the focus is really, I wouldn't say always, but it definitely leans heavier to one on one.
That
So,
is, yeah.
and is that where
Well,
like your experience, Mark, too?
well,
Because I mean, I
no.
have like a couple.
To be really honest, like
The Hong Kong girls
not
might be different,
entirely.
right?
I would say Hong Kong girls. Maybe they're kind of similar to the Taipei girls in some extent. Is the fact that most of the Hong Kong girls, and I when I say this, I don't speak on behalf of my girlfriend. So Miss Winky, if you're listening, I'm just saying this is past experience. A lot of people here, they're taught that you got to make sure you find a rich husband. You got to make sure you're taken care of.
Hmm.
All this, and so they're taught this from an early age. And so when they come out into the dating market, it's now become like a hyper steroid version of what they're taught as children because of dating apps and because of Instagram and social media. That in a sense, it's true. It is now much harder for guys to date girls, right? To find girls. And and even for guys like myself, to them, hey man, biologically I'm half Chinese, but to them I'm just another white dude. So there is a little bit of different difficulty here, especially if like she's got the look, she know how to do some makeup, and it's crazy how it is. And so if it's courting, she wants you to only court her, but she will also accept courtship from 30 other dudes, at least from here, until somehow, some way, you can make the breakthrough either through your personal charm or the charm of your wallet. Then you're gonna get it, right? So I mean, this has shifted drastically from when I used to date as a teenager, or like in my early 20s. So it is a little touch and go. I mean, even for like, say, people like myself, you know, they're I've kind of always and jokingly referred to myself as like, I'm like the animal you see in the zoo, right? Oh, look at him. He's different. He can speak our language so fluently, and he's funny. Haha, look at that. And then they move on. That's it, right? And so that's really kind of how it's become, because they're not hurting for choice anymore.
Yeah. So you're more of a novelty,
Yeah, I
essentially.
am.
Yeah.
Zoo animal.
Zoo animal. I mean, maybe I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I think that at least in my experience, once you get to the dating, like you if you are courting, at least in my experience, it seems, at least here in Taipei or in Taiwan, and again, there's exceptions, right? Like
Hmm.
if you have the girls that are Western educated, they're going to take a lot more of a Western approach to dating.
Hmm.
So you can meet people that are, hey, I went to school in the UK, I went to school in the States, Canada, wherever, right? Somewhere in Europe. Then you're going to see different
Oh yeah.
thoughts. You're going to
Yeah,
see
100%.
that's exact. Like it doesn't take long for that dating style to transfer over. But
Hmm.
I feel that here, when you get dating, it is more singular. You'll run into more opportunities or more situations where they want your singular focus. Now you're right;
Yeah,
they
that is
might
true.
be courting multiple guys. I don't
Hmm.
know. I mean, and I think in the West, you hear a lot of guys will tell their girls maybe some not maybe mislead a girl, kind of lie their way
Yeah,
in so they
yeah,
can lock
yeah,
her down
yeah.
singular, but
That
in
is
reality, the
that is
guy's
true.
out like
Yeah,
doing stuff because they know
yeah.
guys know the girls have a lot of
Here it's
options too.
flipped.
It's
Yeah,
flipped. Yeah, I think it
it's
is.
flipped here. Yeah,
Except it's
because
not lying. Like here, it's like,
well, you also have to understand like there is like a gender disparity too, to some extent. I mean, like it's not as crazy as like mainland China, but like there is still this, this mentality of there's a scarcity of women, and then we have to make sure that the best man wins, and then a lot of these ladies, they know, right? So of course they're gonna have the pick of the litter.
yeah,
So in that sense, like, oh yeah, like it's very clearly defined. Like she wants you to like kind of almost be exclusive, and at the same time, like, you know the stages in which you court this girl. Let's say, let's put aside all the craziness. Let's say you are singularly focused on this normal girl, this normal person that's not like, kind of, all dating apps and Instagram. And like, you do kind of have to make your advances known, like, hey, I like you, I just want to spend time with you. And then the next step would be, hey, you think we can be together? Can we be a thing? Like, that is literally, that's a real
yeah.
question.
And it's so weird because it's like basically it's like a middle school or early high school relationship
Yeah,
situation.
it
Like in the
is.
West, you're like, can you be my girlfriend? I mean, like really, that's what I'm like. That's the last time anybody has a conversation like that, or at least I did.
Yeah,
Back like in my early high school days. Like,
but it's a
you want
thing
to go out with
here.
me? But here it's very. I don't know. My experience is you're right. You do have to say,
Yeah,
hey, I really I like you a lot. Do you want to make this thing something real? Do you want to make this a
yeah,
real thing, or
yeah.
however you want to say it? You really do have to say it. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think another big cultural difference that we didn't really put into this, and I guess we'll put somewhere between the defining stages and dating focus, is you're right, and you brought it up, Mark, that the difference between the East and the West is at an early age, the conversation about finding a wealthy guy, wealthy,
Yeah.
very like having
Better
wealth
not have to
as
work
a
anymore.
security, yeah,
Yeah.
is very defined.
Yeah,
Where
that is like a family you got. It's hammered into your head.
and in the West, it's unspoken.
Yeah.
it's still there. I mean, the desire, I mean, what they're looking for is hypergamy, right? You're looking for the
Absolutely.
best option, right? That's, I mean, everybody wants the best option. Guys want the most attractive girl, right? Like that's
Yes,
what we
sir.
want. We want someone who's most of us, like typically like, a good match, good personality, sweet, demure, will help, like help add, help complement our lives.
Yes.
But in turn, women are looking for the absolute best. Like, and
Absolutely.
and wealth is at the top of, wealth and status are at the top. And I think it's
Absolutely.
universal, but it's not a taboo topic here at all.
Nope.
Like
Nope.
people will ask you from day one, what do you do for work? I mean, I flat out people like, how much do you make? Yeah, we're time to move to the next topic. And another one too, I found
We, we got time.
how tall are you and how much do you weigh is an open
Oh yeah,
topic for
that is
both
one.
genders.
That is one too.
Both
That is
genders,
definitely one. Yeah.
height and weight.
I think it's also very interesting if you just singularly look at this from an outsider's point of view. If you look at it as like back to what you were saying about gender and not gender, status and wealth, because in Asia the caste system is so rigid. It is such a thing. I mean, like, yeah, in the UK, you get it, right? I think people in the UK definitely get it. But the whole Asian caste system it goes down to even your immutable traits. Like, oh, you got dark skin. Oh, you can't have dark skin because you got to have light skin because light skin people don't work in the fields, right?
Yeah.
You got to look a certain way to appeal to a certain caste of people. And and so like of course all these like the younger generation's parents grew up in this kind of harder world where maybe they didn't have a whole lot of money. So the thing that they want their daughters to do is like, hey, daughters, we want you to go find like a guy that's got status and money. Guys, we want you to do is go make money and get status, you know. And this is flat out what they tell you. That's why Asian parents tell all their kids to go be engineers and doctors and lawyers, right?
But it's something. It's funny you say that because it's something I think we've lost in the West. Speaking as a Westerner, put my Western hat on here. That we do, I think, as men, have not. I think we've lost a little bit of the way of saying, "Hey, go be your best. Go
Yes, we have.
chase. Go
100%.
spend your 20s building up your
Yeah.
career."
Oh, so true. So
And I think
true.
most guys spend their
So true.
20s out looking for girls, having fun, partying.
Yeah.
And I think the message really is go focus on yourself for those years because guys, to be
So
honest,
true.
we don't bring a lot of value in our 20s.
Nope.
You don't have a lot of, I mean, I'm far past my 20s. You don't bring a lot
No.
of, I mean, unless you come from a rich family, chances are you're not going to have wealth. You're not going to have a powerful job in your 20s. It's just not normal,
way.
right?
Yeah.
You're going to be building up your wealth. You're really not going to come into your own until you hit your
Yeah.
30s. But the
Yeah,
thing
absolutely.
is, here's the interesting part. That's kind of where things intersect. And the intersection point is age 30. Women have kind of hit their peak and the magic 30-year-old number. Let's talk about 30, the magic 30 number that you
Magic
hear. I
30.
hear it
Oh,
everywhere.
man.
The girls like, oh my gosh, if I'm not married by 30, that's a pretty
Wow,
big thing.
that's interesting. That is very true. It's like, you know, you see it in the West and it's almost like a tongue in cheek, haha, LOL. You know, worst comes to worst, I'll have cats. And but here they really take this seriously.
Yeah.
Like they are like, I swear to God, like I've seen girl that are friends of mine. They literally would like look at me like back in the day when I was still single. They'd be like, haha, hey, if I ever turn 30 and I'm not married, can we get married? Like they asked me seriously. Like they look me in the face without blinking an eye. They're like, do you think we can do this? I'm like, no. But that's when I can put the foreigner hat back on. So
Yeah.
no, but like it really is a thing for a lot of these ladies here. And I'm just kind of glad that I got hitched on the one that's like 30 and proud of it. But it really is it's a magical number here where like they feel like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's culture or pop culture. They feel like they've hit a wall. Like I don't know what
It's
it's
actually
like in
called
Taiwan.
the wall. Yeah, actually, you hit the name of it's a correct name. It's called the wall, and hitting the wall, and that's when, like, okay, so guys, typically we bring our wealth to a relationship, right? Women bring kind of two things. They essentially bring their looks, their beauty, right? Of course, the ability to start a family, things like that, all kind of
Oh yeah.
bundled in with that. And then also to complement, hopefully, traditional roles, you want to say it, or at least especially in Asia, to complement, you to help grow, and support, kind of, growing the wealth and growing the household and growing your status.
Mhm.
But yeah, it is. And then Winky's, and looking at chat here, talking about listening to a podcast the other day, and girls were saying that they would rather pick someone taller but uglier than a
Oh,
nice
that is
guy but
so
short.
true.
Well,
Oh
they want the
man.
3 6s, man. Like most
Yeah.
girls, and this is pretty much universal. The 3 6s they want, and here it's not really the third six. 6 feet tall, so
Yeah.
181
Yeah.
centimeters. They want 6 feet
Yeah.
tall. They want 6-pack abs, and they want 6-figure income.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
We're talking U.S.
So
dollars here.
like I'm gonna out my boy Nick here. So Coach Nick or Pilot Nick, you heard about him. So Nick is my dear friend, and he's also my football coach. And he's a shorter guy. He's like 5'7". He's not that tall of a guy, but the man is a pilot. He is a successful man. He's smart. He speaks like 5 languages, right? And I cannot begin to count how many times this poor man has kind of been rejected because he was too short. And like we have had conversations where I've heard where like friends of ours have talked to other girls, and these other girls literally said, oh, he's handsome, he has a good job, but I would rather go and date the guy that's a little taller. I'm like, what?
Okay, and here's my advice to Pilot Nick on that one. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep focusing on that job. Build yourself up the ranks. Put those flight hours in. Become the top pilot. Hit the gym.
Oh,
Look,
he's got.
You can't. You
Coach
can't
Nick
change.
is built.
Yeah, exactly. You can't change your height. But man, you hit the gym. You put some muscles on, and let me tell you what. When your bank account catches up with the muscles and the job and all that and everything and your looks, wait to how old's Nick? I mean, I have to call him out. Like
25.
25. All right. Dude,
he's 25 years
wait
old.
in another 7 years, he's going to be in the top 1%.
He already is.
He already is, but he will truly be in the top.
Already 1%. Is.
And he's going to be able to right now. Him trying to date at his age, those girls are looking for older guys. They've got that are at that point.
Yeah,
he's going to move up, right? And that's for him. He's got it. He's got, and this is for the next 7 years, just blinders on. And just crush it, right?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, he's I find it very difficult to find someone else as focused as Nick, man. Like he's working on himself every day. He's studying. He's going to flight sim. He's teaching flight sim. He's at the gym. He's studying football. Then he's coming to practice on Sundays. I mean, Coach Nick. I mean, 25 years old. It's hard to find. Like I'll be very honest. I wasn't that dedicated when I was 25. I was busy. I was busy working my butt off.
Dude, 25, I got married. So that's what happened in my 25.
I wanted to get married when I was 25. That was my goal when I was in high school. I thought I wanted to get married on the beach when I was 25 years old. Wanted to spend 5 years romantically with my wife. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to have a normal life. That's kind of what I wanted.
Yep. And then got divorced much later.
But we're not going to talk about that.
It's fine. Though. You know what? No, it's actually a good thing. It's actually a good thing. You learn a lot from those situations, right? And I learned a whole lot from that. And it's been, I don't think I'd have the approach. I wouldn't have the focus on myself that I have now. If I didn't do that, I sure as heck wouldn't be living in Taiwan. There's a lot of things that I've done that I'm very happy with the direction of my life. Even with what you would people on the outside, they always go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, I'm not, I wish her the best. I'm sure she has a great life right now. We don't speak. That's the best way. And, it's been many, 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 many years. But it's probably the best thing that happened for me. I think it turned out great. I mean, I'm not trying to just pity party or anything like that, but I usually don't even talk about these things. In fact, on my other channel, I've never discussed this at all. It is
that is very true.
A topic I've never even brought up and all that. But I mean, heck, we're here. Why not? So moving to the next one, home court disadvantage.
Oh man, please.
This is
start us off. Lead us off with this one.
This out of everything here in Asia, this has got to be the biggest difference from the West. And it's the sheer number of people, both every gender, everything, that still live at home.
That is so true. That is so
So
true.
it's very different. Like, so in the States, man, as soon as you can do it, you better get your own place. You better get out. You need to get out from roommates if you can afford to. If you live in like New York City or San Francisco, you're gonna have a roommate, right? You live in like West Coast, it's gonna be a long time before you can get out. But you
Yes.
get out and you get like 2 or 3 roommates and you jam into a house and you pay this crazy rent. Or in New York City, you jam into the tiniest apartment and you do it with the
gotta get
roommate or
out,
whatever,
man.
and somebody sleeps
Yeah.
literally on like the windows, like this window ledge behind me, like somebody's bed, like we're gonna stay here. But you get out of your house.
Yeah,
'Cause,
that is
like,
so true. You get out of your parents' house.
it's a scarlet letter, man. You're like, you can't
Yeah.
get the big letter A, like I live at home. But here it is totally normal. It is extremely rare you will run into someone who does have their own place.
That is very true. That is very true. And I think I think it's an unhealthy stigma that people here have. And I can speak on this a little bit because I have a lot of friends who talk to me, who have been talking to me since I was 18. So I'm gonna open up a little bit to you guys. My parents, so I was born here and I grew up here for a majority of my life. And we did this weird back and forth here, Canada, here, the US, here, China, just I've been all over the place. To be honest, my parents left Hong Kong in 2007 and I decided to stay. So since 2007, I've lived alone. And that was a choice that I made because I told my parents that I wanted to kind of stay here and kind of see what I can do for myself and pursue a career and so on. And I've always had friends who ask me, oh man, it'd be so cool if we can live alone. Oh, it'd be so cool if we can do this, that, and the other. So I tell them, I said, hey, I live in a village. I can ask for you to get you a good deal. And they always say, oh no, I can't, or and they come up with every reason that they can come up with, right? Oh, I gotta pay rent and all this. So I said, but you're giving your parents a share of your paycheck. I mean, let's call it what it is. You're already paying rent, my friend. You're already doing it, right? If you're thinking you're also gonna have to pay your parents anyways, then whatever. I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, I think that more than anything is a value thing. I mean, if you talk to anybody, you get them a couple of drinks and you're chilling and you say, hey, would you like to live alone? 90% of them would say, I would love to live alone. But then the reality of it when it sets in, it's kind of difficult. And that's kind of what makes dating sometimes a little hard.
Yeah, because there's, even at 20s and even into the 30s, there's still the parents
Yes.
around.
So true.
And you still have that parental, like, are you coming home? What time? And,
I'm 32 years old.
yeah. Yeah.
My style.
But I think Robert McGain in chat brings up a point that, his, like, one of his biggest flexes, he lives by himself. He's in the UK. And
Hell yeah, Rob.
I think it's more and more prevalent that in major cities, it's becoming more difficult to do this. So I think what we see, what we've known in the West, that's the normal of, hey, you need to be on your own, doing your own thing. I think it's going to become more like here. I think that's something that's going to gradually become less and less of a stigma. Although it might actually cause a bigger disadvantage for younger guys, because if a girl still wants a guy that lives on his own, then they're just going to look a little older, right? They're going to shift
True.
their view up to someone who's,
But is the stigma truly about just living at home, or is the stigma like a little bit deeper into the fact that like, we have the stigma that we have to be homeowners and there's something wrong with renting, right? I mean, we gotta make a step, right?
No, I'm telling you, man, that's a big thing I've noticed here too. It's like, I've heard, like, if you let people know you're like in a relationship, people here in Asia will be like, oh, wow, okay, you're going to buy a house? That's like the first question.
Yes.
It's like,
that is the first question. You're gonna have a house, or you're gonna settle?
yeah, you're going to buy a house? I'm like, well, it's not exactly the first thing I think of. I mean, and plus, I mean, you look at real estate like here, like real estate in I know Hong Kong is crazy. In Taiwan,
Oh, man,
Taipei, it's nuts.
Oh my God.
Like, if, like, I But weird. There's like, I don't want to get into this, like the difference between rent and what your mortgage should be for it's
Yeah,
really odd here because they don't match up.
it is. They don't.
They don't match. Yeah,
yeah.
like the home price and what you pay for rent are very drastically like it should be, but it's
Yeah.
not.
It should be the other way around, but it's not. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's odd. I'm wondering, because I think people are playing the real estate investment game, or they're just doing the long game, like they buy in years and years and years ago. But to buy a house here, if you want something decent, like not just something run down, or you have to really fix up, and if you want it in Taipei City, just forget it. I mean, really forget it unless you are far along in your career and doing quite well for yourself.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of videos I've been watching on YouTube where people are like, YouTubers that are here in Taiwan, especially Taipei area, they're like, well, we were going to buy a house. We just can't. We just can't afford it. And when I say can't afford it, it's like, oh, Jonathan, what is it? Like 200,000 US, 300,000 US?
Oh,
No,
man.
no. We're
That's not
talking
even down payment, my friends.
a decent home here is going to set you back close to $1 million US, probably about 800,000 to $1 million US dollars. So really think West Coast Cali prices. You're looking at LA, you're looking at SFO. Well, I wouldn't, maybe actually, San Francisco area, like Bay Area prices.
To be honest, that is incredibly affordable compared to here.
You
Compared
even
to
have
here.
like a
Like Hong Kong.
bigger restriction on real estate because there's only so much land in Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, Hong Kong is not even just land is a big problem, and because Hong Kong land is so valuable, you get people who come and buy property just to flip it, right?
Yeah.
So the property market here is through the roof. It's so high that it's very difficult to buy in, and then when you buy in, at the end of the day, you don't even really get to keep it for the rest of your life. I mean, it's like a 50-year, give or take, you own it for X amount of time. And what's there to stop the government from just snapping their fingers to take it back, right? So that's another issue, right?
I didn't know that.
Which kind of,
So it's
which
not
kind
a
of
permanent
throws a
ownership.
wrench in.
You get there's actually
It's not permanent ownership. So actually,
Wow.
for the last 4 years or so, a big thing that's come up in Hong Kong is buying property in Thailand and Japan, and they're number one because it's like an investment thing. You buy a house there, and you can kind of get citizenship or so on. It's what a lot of these property real estate companies are doing right now, and I see Facebook ads all the time because I like all of Masaki's photos. So
I've seen
just saying.
Thailand. I know Thailand has.
Yeah.
At one time, I was like, before I even moved here to Asia, I was kind of just exploring what country was the best place for me to be, and I was just making sure to narrow out all my options. Remember, Thailand was like $250,000 US dollars. Of
it's
either bank account investment or property investment,
Yeah.
and that could grant you a resident card.
That's right.
Out of
And
that.
and so with Japan, because the reason why they were pushing it so hard is because they always say the number one clause, that the big tagline, the big selling line is permanent, lifetime permanent ownership. It's always going to be yours. Forever is going to be yours, right? 永久擁有, it's going to be forever yours. And so that was their number one big sell. And so in Hong Kong, I mean, I don't want to get into like the politics of owning an apartment here or like owning property here because it's quite depressing. But like in Hong Kong, if you want a decent apartment, if you want to buy a decent apartment that's not like out of the way out in the sticks, you're looking at maybe $3 to $4 million US. 3 to 4 million US, and that's for an apartment that's maybe about 300 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you want something decent, maybe like 700 square feet with usable space that's maybe 500 square feet in a decent location, you look at maybe like 10 mil.
So
give or
that's
take.
kind of, you describe my apartment. I'm about 700 square feet, maybe 7 something.
Yeah, but your
7.
rent's probably ridiculous compared to like what the lease would be.
Oh, yeah,
right?
my rent is on par with what I was paying in Portland, Oregon for something similar size.
Right.
And I was in the Alphabet District, like I was in the nice part of Portland, and I'm in a good location here in Taipei too. So it's on parallel, but this is a larger unit. This is like the building I'm in only has 2 per floor, and it's been subdivided into 4 on this side. So it's myself, and actually all of us are foreigners here. We got American, Canadian, and American. So,
You got the white people floor?
well, not necessarily. No, he's Colombian American. She's
okay.
Caucasian too. She's Canadian, and then the other American is Taiwanese American. So, but yeah, all of us here on the floor, but I know I got a general idea of what a one goes for, and it's just absolutely ridiculous how much to
It really
buy
is.
the complete.
Yeah.
If you bought like without this thing being subdivided
Yeah.
out,
Yeah, absolutely. And it
it's
kind of goes back into like, when they went, like what Nelson's saying, like they feel like they hit their expiration date by 30.
yeah,
And that's why these girls like dating here. Dude, man, let me get you to it. If you're dating out here and then you're dating a local girl, they have this pressure on you when they get to their late 20s. It's like, are we gonna like poop or get off the pot, right? Because their mind is thinking all of these things. Property is expensive. My parents want us to get married. They want me to get hooked, like hitched onto a rich guy. It's all of these things put together, and that's why they have I think, almost a more hardcore version of like the wall than maybe some ladies you see in the West. And that's why some of the ladies are like, whatever, I'll be a crazy cat lady, you know.
yeah. And I think
They don't
the
have
difference.
that
You're right.
here.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Like I think in the West, people are like, oh, I'm going to extend, right?
Yeah.
And then here, I think it's like, no, there is a clear, like, there's an awareness that there is a wall. And I think the difference is in the West, there's much less of an awareness that there's a wall. And I think you could find, I think the best balance is someone who's lived in both worlds, right? Where they know that it's not black and white, that there's a gradual scale, and you're not having to make a poor life choice at 29 and a half. I'm not saying everybody does, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are Western educated or spend a lot of time in the West that are much more comfortable saying, yeah, I need to be serious and looking in my later 20s, but I don't have to be like jumping on a commitment. But you're right. There's the family pressure, like absolutely the family pressure. So
Absolutely. That really is a thing. It's very interesting, now that we can actually talk about this, like I get to, for a little bit of time, put on my Western hat, and I get to be, white guy Mark for a little bit, and like not just us talking about it, I get to sit here and think, man, that is ridiculous. Some of the things that these like, that's why I do feel for a lot of guys here. I can always say, hey, I can default by someday I can move out. I can leave Hong Kong.
yeah,
Right. I can go back to the US or wherever, and I can move back to Arkansas and buy 40 acres of land for 30 grand.
yeah.
Right.
And then you can build a house on it for like,
I can
build like a modest little home for like 80
right?
or 100 grand, 120 grand, right? Something
Exactly.
modest. And then expand later.
Yeah. 300 grand. I can build a castle, lakeside property, couple acres of land. Right. And then,
especially in the Ozarks.
Absolutely, because it's rocky ground. Ain't nobody need that.
Yeah.
There's no use to that. And so I really do feel bad for some of the guys here. And I think maybe that works to our advantage a little bit, is because some of these girls, they do know that, you know what, if I'm dating here and I'm looking for somebody long term, I'm kind of stuck with someone here, but hey, I could, if I really love this guy, there is an opportunity for me to say, hey, maybe someday we make a transition back to the US or to Europe, and then they can have their dream life. Because a lot of these girls do have this fantasy of like their nice house, an individual house, right? Like a standalone individual house with a garden, with a car,
And
I
usually
don't know about
for here,
Taiwan,
you're
but
going to
here
have to,
they certainly do.
you're going to have to wait till you get to a point where you maybe have that willed to you, essentially.
Yeah.
If you want to have that house here, or
landed
you move
property
here, at least in Taiwan, you move way the heck out. Like you go like out in the sticks, and then you have none of the conveniences. You're not around a lot of nice restaurants. You're not around public transportation. Again, it's not a huge country by any stretch of the imagination. You can drive north to south in about 5 hours from tip to tip, but it's still, the issue of a couple hours in, and you have the traffic at the city. I mean, and Taipei is no joke. Just like Hong Kong, it's big. It's a major. It's like a top city.
It's no
in the
joke
world.
here. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's certain hours. The bus don't even help you. The MTR don't help you. Come on, Rob, back me up in the chat here, bro.
Rob's like jumping in. The next one, I don't know. We hit it so much in this one. The next one's like, I don't know if we want to like hit it. I guess reputation. I mean, right now it's kind of a weird thing, and we do have one of these guys, but he doesn't fall into the bad category in chat. Like, you almost needed to have him on to talk about this part.
Are we talking about Stu?
Yeah, we're talking about Stu.
Are we talking about Stu?
We're talking about Stu. Stu Baca. He's in chat.
Stu's like in a gray area.
Yeah, he's in a gray area. He's one of the
I
good
think it's
guys.
because he's got his accent. You know,
yeah,
he's got a
Mandarin's-
fancy accent.
Well, his
Right?
Mandarin's also fluent. He can even read fairly decent. So
That is so true.
yeah. So Stu, we're talking about the reputation of English teachers. And is it the same in Hong Kong? I know is it different? Because Hong Kong's a little more of an international city, I feel like. There's a
So-
lot of cultures blending in Hong Kong, where Taipei's definitely, I'd say, less culturally mixed.
So English teachers.
I'm going to get a refill while you chat.
Okay. Where do I start? So English teachers here, they do have a bit of a stigma. They, for girls who have maybe dated one or two English teachers before, they'll probably have this feeling of like, oh, well, you just don't want to work and you want to do the easiest thing possible. And here you are. I mean, I can't even count on two hands and my 2 feet how many English teachers that should not be teaching, period. Like, I'm not even talking about English. Like, they should not be teachers, period. And because, you know, I'm dating a passionate teacher who loves what she does. And so it does care. In Hong Kong, it carries us two kinds of stigmas. Number one, if you're an English teacher, you're automatically signaling to the dating community that either A, you don't want to work hard, right? You want to do the easiest thing, or B, you have no skill that you can offer other than your language, at which chances are sometimes English isn't even your first language. I can't even count how many times I've had Europeans, and I love you guys, my brothers from Europe, but
I've met
your
a few
first
people.
language,
Yeah,
your first
that-
language is German, bro.
Yeah, I've
It's
met a few
not
people
English.
that have strong accents, and I'm not talking about Australian, New Zealand, American, Canadian, or British, or even Irish or Scottish.
Not in the Anglosphere.
Yeah, I'm talking like
Italian,
yeah,
French,
like Italian, French, like
Serbian.
But I think it's a double-edged sword, right? So at least here in Taiwan, English teachers get paid comparative to the population, the average salary, fairly well. There's a minimum guaranteed as a knowledge-based worker. So whether you come here as an English teacher or you come here like in a consultative specialty role, like some certain technology jobs, some consultative jobs, things like that, sales, international sales positions, things like that will put you in that category, the rarity category. There's a guaranteed minimum salary, and it's published. I think it's like, Stu probably knows better than me. It's like 48,500 or 49,000, something like that. I forget the number, but it's somewhere like in the high 40,000 in TD, which is the local money here. But it's interesting because you do get paid fairly well. And I think people know that, like, and a lot of the bushibans, which are the English schools here, will even have dormitories you can stay in if you teach. Now, I'm not a teacher. I don't do this. So, you know, I know Stu's had experience. Okay, Stu says 45,000 is the minimum. And it's where you start. You can move up as you get more experience. There are two different tiers of English teachers. And that's what I want to get into here because there are two very different categories. And one category sullies the reputation for the other, at least the perspective.
Oh, so true.
The good category are the ones that actually have true teaching experience, that bring a level of education to the table. They're typically working with maybe younger kids, like children. They're working in like the daycares or the primary school age kids.
Yeah.
They're doing proper tutoring. They're going through some I would say very focused language. I think also the second group that's in there are typically ones that are maybe doing business language teaching, that are also there. Then there's another group, and it just depends on which school you work for and how you are, that are here like on basically a backpacker's vacation.
Oh my God. Yes.
That can show that somehow find a way through the system with a high school diploma.
Or without a high school diploma.
Without a high school
it's just
diploma.
a Caucasian face.
Yeah. So, and yes, it is. It's about the face. It's about your look, 100%.
100%.
Some
They
schools
do that.
here,
They do that here too,
some
man.
schools here
It's
advertise
ridiculous.
that, like literally advertise it. It's based
Oh,
on
yeah.
your look. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Or a TEFL. Yeah, they like to have the teaching English as a foreign language cert is all they have to have sometimes, which is like
Really? That's a stretch for Hong Kong.
here there are
What's
some
your
requirements. Here you actually have to have a college degree allegedly, but I
right?
know a lot of guys that have
Well,
slipped past that.
well, that's what they say here too. I mean, to be honest, like which really is so true because it sullies a lot of the good reputation and the hard work that there are some people out there who actually give a rat's butt about what they do.
I would say
And
75 to
yeah,
80% are in the category that care
yeah,
and have proper teaching experience and that are here to do teaching as a career. And
yeah.
they really do love what they do.
But the other 25% has really messed y'all up,
Yeah.
man. Because like they're out here. So in Hong Kong, the clubbing area, Lan Kwai Fong, they're out there in Lan Kwai. I've seen them hooking up with their students if they're teaching high school or like high school and older. I've seen like them not show up to work. I've had friends who are English teachers who don't show up to work. I've seen them show up to work hungover and smelling like alcohol. Look, one of my first jobs, I was an English teacher. I was never that bad, but I've had friends who were. And
Yeah.
it's not
Now,
good,
mind you,
man.
these are English teachers in these private schools. Here they're called bushibans.
Yeah, here they're just English learning centers here.
Yeah, we're not talking about teaching in a proper high school. If you're teaching a proper high school, you actually have to have a teaching certificate. That is a different world
Same thing here.
altogether. Yeah. So if you're in high school here, you actually need to have your degree in teaching, and it's very similar to the West. But if you're teaching the bushibans, it's depending on the school that you teach at, and they have varying levels of, I would say, vetting. You know.
Yeah,
So,
true. I mean,
yeah.
it's sad, and
But I
because
mean, to be honest, like the guys, like yeah, they're usually young guys. They're here to kind of they're.
you can tell, you can spot them from a mile away.
Oh, you can go. Oh, that dude's an English teacher. I mean, you could put like hard cash down on the table and say
Yep.
for sure.
And I
English
hate to
teacher.
say it, like it's such a derogatory way of saying it too. Oh man, that guy, English teacher. Like, I hate to say it, like
But it's English
'cause to be
teacher in a
honest-
different word. It's a very demeaning and derogatory.
Yeah, it
and that
really is.
that
It
use
really
of
is.
it is because it's
Yeah,
like
it
oh,
really is.
basically it's like saying he's a player. Like
Yeah.
and
So,
like,
like-
but not in a
So like if you're trying to date here, right, and you're an English teacher, if you're trying to date a girl closer to your age, in Hong Kong at least, because Hong Kong's so international, chances are they've probably come across people like I'm not. This is a general statement. People like these people, like these guys, right? They've come across people like you multiple times. So these older women who are the high value women, they know to steer clear, right?
Mhm.
And sadly, it's these young girls that get exposed to these guys, and it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. Bad taste in their mouth. And then later on, when you want to go and want to have a serious relationship with them, all they remember is, oh, well, I was with this one white guy
Yeah.
who.
Oh, the
took me
last time I dated an
home.
American guy,
know.
it was this, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden it very much it projects onto you.
He told me about California and the PCH. Next thing you know, we're in bed. And next thing you know, he ghosted me. And then next thing you know, I don't know where he's disappeared to.
Yeah,
And now, where you say you're from America too? I guess
Oh,
you're the
yeah.
same people.
exactly. So, but that's it. I mean, yeah, well, like Winky's like, oh my god, we're talking about this. It's definitely different teachers. We're talking about like the
Yeah, Rob,
bad
I totally
reputation.
know. I totally know that one.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day. That's an episode for another day, my friend.
So next topic, I hear the alarm go off. And
We're
this
just
is-
so into this episode. I'm so
know,
sorry,
man.
everybody. You
It's
know,
good.
like this is an episode. Like John, when you proposed this episode to me, this is near and dear to my heart as
I know
well.
because
So
you
like
pitched the
this is
idea, and I was
great.
like, you sent one over. You're like, hey, let's do this, and I'm like, oh, it's a good one. I go, but you know what's been on my brain for a while, and I sent you back this idea, and you were
Yeah.
like, oh.
I was like, oh my god, yes, let's do it.
I was like, we can do that. We'll do this next show. We'll skip a show. That
Yeah.
and then you were like, no, we're doing it this show.
we're doing this one. this is so good because I feel like every time I go out with my friends, my local friends, they always ask me the same questions. Hey,
Yeah.
especially when they see, okay, ladies and gentlemen, This is a small community that we have. I just want you guys to know, Winky is my girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Winky is from here, even though she's a bona fide New Yorker.
Yep.
And she is, right? Am I right, Jono?
Yep.
And but Winky is from here, and we do communicate 99.9% of the time in English. But there is a few times that the Asian comes out, and then so I get to deal with this too. I also get to deal with the family, right?
Mm.
And which I'm sure we're going to touch upon later on. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think, I don't know, family can be like, we could actually do a version 2 of this. In fact, God, I'm trying to think of like all the breakout videos. Like we can start clipping some of this stuff. We can't,
Oh, man.
our channel's not big enough to all have the clipping option down below yet, but I can chop it out. I'm recording this whole thing. So kind of on the family thing, matchmaking opportunities.
Yes, this is interesting. This is
So
actually
how you meet someone, and I will tell you a very real experience, something that has been like echoed multiple times by just people I know, not like people I'm like dating or anything like that, but people I know, like just about myself being an American specific in this case, not a Westerner. But here, meeting people is done very differently. So in the West, I would say not. I mean, you still have like dating apps, everything, like most of the dating apps, like I'm pretty sure work here, like the usuals. But I think there's a lot of specific ones to Asia as well. But more often than not, when you're getting into a relationship, you're going to meet someone through somebody whether it be your friends, a
that is very
referral,
true.
your coworkers, like, oh, hey, I got an auntie and she's got this friend that's single. I could tell you a lot of the guys I know, like their matchmaking
true.
stories are all like, a coworker this,
Friend of
or
a
my
friend
auntie,
of a
or my
friend.
auntie this. And by the way, everybody's somebody's auntie, right? That's kind of like a
exactly.
coined
Everybody's
term.
an auntie. Everybody's an uncle.
Right. And it's through referrals. It's definitely I would say, oh God, what would be the percentage? I mean, I'm just no. I mean, I'm like
80% at least.
Really, 80?
At least.
Yeah.
Because let me be honest with you. And so this is something I like to joke about, because earlier you talked about dating apps and stuff like that. And I wanted to get this point across because I'll be very honest. Your boy has never had any luck with dating apps. Ever.
Guys don't. By the way, guys don't have luck on dating apps. I'll tell you right now.
Look, man.
If you're a guy, if you want any kind of real, stay the hell off of a dating app.
Oh my God.
Just don't even open Tinder, any of that garbage. Just
Poop.
delete them off your phone. If you even have them on, they're not even worth being on.
Okay. The dating apps topic got me all fired up. I spilled a bit of my sake.
That's fine. And by the way, if you want to be on a dating app, you tell me the number one dating app right now is not even a dating app.
Masaki, please forgive me. I spilled some of this harushika.
Let me see. Anybody in chat know what I would say the number one dating app right now is?
In Hong Kong, there's two. There's still Tinder, and then there's one called Coffee Me Bagel. And so let me tell you, I've had a Tinder account, I've had a Coffee Me Bagel account, I've had a Bumble account. I've had a grand total of 0 across 0.
Hinge.
Nothing.
I don't think is Hinge even over here. I don't know.
I bet if I put my face on Grindr, I would still have 0.
I don't know about that, bro, man. If you're, I bet you'd be smashing on there.
Because I've been. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I felt that in here, Jono. You're the best. Like I would tell Wiki, I said, God has a strange sense of humor. He's probably be like, there's these dating apps out there, but I'm not gonna let you do it. You have to meet people the old-fashioned way. You have to go to a bar and go say hi. You have to go do this. You can still do this. I mean, this is I hate to kind of sound privileged in the sense, but as a foreigner, it is way more normal. And when we're talking about matchmaking opportunities, it's way more acceptable in Hong Kong for you to randomly walk up to some lady and say, hey, what's up? What you doing? How's your night going? How's it going? Hey, can I buy you a drink? What you drinking? Just to strike up a conversation is way less creepy as a foreigner doing it here than for a local guy to walk up to a girl and say, hey, girl, what's up? That don't work for them here.
All right, so
I don't know about Taipei.
I will tell you that's very different in Taipei there. So back on the dating app thing, the number one dating app, people were guessing in chat. No, the number one dating app right now is Instagram. So,
Oh yes, that is so true.
Do not confuse yourself. If
That
you
is
think
so
the dating
true.
apps are out there, you guys are crazy.
Here too, I have to say it.
IG is it. So
Yeah, that's right. It's your follower account.
yeah, it's all about your follower count, man. I'll tell you what,
It's
if you got a
all
blue
about
check
your
mark,
follower
if you
account.
got a blue check mark,
Oh, that's it. You're on.
you're on
like
It's
Donkey
green.
Kong.
Yeah, you're
Dude. Tinder,
yeah.
all that stuff, it got nothing on like your blue check mark Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of that. But to your point, you said, hey, walking up, talking to girls, whatever. No, that doesn't happen here at all.
Really?
No, you do not. It is the
Okay,
weirdest
so this is so
thing.
different from when I was in Shanghai. Okay, this is
Very here. It's
my
it
goodness.
is like,
Winky, please forgive me. I'm talking about when I was single.
and people have asked me like, so has anybody ever like walked up to you in the street? I bet you like like people like I'm sure like the girls will like come up to I'm like no. I had one girl come up to me on the street. I'm standing there. I'm standing here at a crosswalk. I tell you the story. Standing at a crosswalk, waiting to cross. There's a Carrefour, which is a hypermarket, a big like a super Walmart kind of store. It's a French chain, but they have them here. I'm standing there waiting to cross the street.
Carrefour?
Yeah, Carrefour. I'm waiting to cross the street. All of a sudden, like a big just hug. I get hugged, like, and it's like a loving hug, and I'm like, what
You turn around, wrong. Oh my God, wrong person.
I'm like, what? I turned around and there's this girl there. She's about yay tall, and she looks up at me and she's like, in perfect English, with an American accent. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought you were my friend.
Oh my God.
I'm like, hey, it's cool. Don't worry about it. She's like, I'm like, don't worry. It's okay. It's like, yeah, it's fine. She's like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, that's cool. It's like, hey, you get a pass. You sound like you're American or Canadian. She's like, yeah. I'm like, you get a pass. Don't worry about it. And then literally the guy comes walking across the street, right? Like he's on the other side of the crosswalk. So he didn't see what happened. Thank goodness. He's like a little hipster looking guy, right?
Oh well, I would have chose you too if he's a hipster looking guy.
Yeah, he's like hipster,
No offense, Rob.
maybe like 60 kilos, But he comes walking across the street, and he looks nothing like me. I'm 80 kilos. He's like 60, Like I'm like a good 10 centimeters taller. I'm like, how'd you confuse us?
It's the beard. She just wanted some of that beard, man.
Maybe, I don't know. Like the guy didn't have a beard. He didn't have a beard.
Did she hug you and call you daddy?
No, there's no daddy involved. Thank you. Jeez. Sigh.
Sorry,
but no, back to matchmaking.
It
really does
I'll be very honest.
It comes from like friend referrals. Like if you like for relationship wise, 99 times out of 100, I'd say high 80s, 90s, it's going to be coming from a referral.
Yes, that is absolutely true. I mean, like I was saying earlier, like, yeah, about 85, 90%, 100%. Like that's absolutely true because like when you go out, like a lot of guys here because they're inherently slightly insecure about talking to girls. And so they want to be able to go talk to somebody that maybe their friends know. So there's like a sense of like security there. It's like, I don't want to rag on my local friends, but I'm gonna. So like, Nick, I'm gonna throw under the bus for 2 seconds. When I go out with Nick sometimes, I'm like, hey, Nick, bro, she's pretty cute, right? He's like, yeah, she's all right. I'm like, you want me to go say hi? And he'll be like, maybe. I was like, fine. And which brings me back to when I was in Taipei.
I've got a pretty good idea of why. I've kind of done a little bit of homework on this one, but keep going.
Which brings me back to when I was in Taipei. After the game, we went to some random club. I have no idea where it was.
Now, clubs are different. Yeah, you can't if you're at a club, it's a different environment.
I'm just saying, like
that's what I'm saying.
Like, you said, like you can't go. Like
there's Western bars here too. It's a different. When you get in the club or you go to a Western bar, it's a different environment.
Yeah, maybe because like I walked up I walked in with Winky. Winky was talking to some friends. This is before we let everybody know that we were dating. Winky was talking to some friends. I walked over there because my teammates were like, oh, Mark, we got these drinks. You got to come drink. So I go over there, and there's these other girls over there. So I was just like, I walk up straight. First thing I do is I just start chit-chatting in Mandarin. And they look at me like, And I feel like that's what I'm trying to refer to. Is just like, it's easier for us to kind of go and like even if we purposely try to be like, oh, ni hao ma, girl, like on purpose,
throw the bad pronunciation. Yeah.
Oh, girl, ni hao mei, yeah. On purpose, right? I do that all the time. It works 100% every time. It works.
It works all the time, some of the time, right?
Yeah, so that's why when you were saying like, oh man, it doesn't really work, I was like,
Okay,
what?
clubs are different. I'm talking like out on the street. And the difference is, and
Okay, but out on the street, man.
I've been
Yeah, I don't
told
want
by multiple people,
to.
like,
I don't want the police to be called.
I'm
So
too
Mario.
talkative and I'm friendly to everybody. I'm like, "God, you're too,
Yes.
like, what are you talking to too many people?" I'm like, this is normal. And even I think, even like you look at like Americans' reputation, like even like Stu would look, like him being from like England, right? He'd look at me as an American and you too would be like, wow, you are really talkative. You're like, you're overly friendly,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
meeting
yeah. Like we
random
talk to
people.
people. We talk to everybody
Yeah.
too much.
But I think your point about the shyness, I think it is cultural, and I think a lot of it comes from the way the school's set up. And I think here, at least in Taiwan, I know that you typically stay with your classmates as you go
Hmm.
through your school. You stay in the
Oh
same
yeah,
class, and not
yeah,
your same entire class. Like in the States, we have a class of like 300, like my high school, let's say. So like our whole class goes, but every time the whistle blows or the bell blows, the bell rings, we would go to different classes, and you will end up in the next class with different people. And
hmm,
you go to the second period, third period, fourth period, right? And you go to the different classrooms, and there would be a mix of people in there. So you're socializing with a large group of people. Like the better
absolutely true.
part of your classmates
Yeah,
of a 300-person class, you will see throughout your school. Whether it be this semester or next, you might be in a different class. And you're like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you since last semester, or I bump into them in the halls, right? But at least here in Asia, you stay with the same 30 people, and the
yeah.
teacher
Through
rotates in.
every class. Yeah,
The
it's the
teacher
teacher that
rotates. You stay in the
rotates.
same
Yeah,
class.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
So your social circle is the same 30 people
yeah.
versus
That's
300.
right. And the
So,
only time your social circle expands is when those people go out and meet other people, and then you're invited, and then your small circle then grows, right? It's very abnormal that you see a guy or a girl here that purposely goes out of their current social circle to expand it independently,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
And like, just again to open myself up a little bit, like what, like going to back what you said, like my ex, she hated when I did that, when I would go and talk to people randomly,
Yeah,
right? and,
it's
and to
definitely one of the
interact.
things that
Yeah,
will cause a pain point
yeah,
of, like that. Hey, it's like, because it's construed as flirting,
yeah.
instantly
It doesn't matter
flirting.
if it's a man or a woman too. Like, to be honest, like I've had so many like Masaki would probably know, because he's an Osaka man. He's Kansai, and they're very warm and welcoming people. Every time I go to Kansai, it's like I sit there and I have a sign on my face as to come and talk to me, right? And I get this all the time, and she hates it. My ex, she hated it, right? And it doesn't matter if it's a man, woman's even worse. Like, she's not talking to me for the rest of the day. God forbid someone just want to say hi,
Yeah.
right? Find it interesting I'm doing with this, that, and the other if we're out traveling, right? And sometimes I have to catch myself, kind of like what Stu was saying. He had to continually stop himself from hugging me, because how I was brought up, my dad and my friends and my sisters and my sister's friends, I would always find it very easy to kind of like put a hand on the shoulder, put a hand on the arm,
Yeah,
grab their arm
very
and say,
touching.
"Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay," "Oh, it's okay," and we
Oh,
would
physical
rub their
contact
arm,
here.
right? It's
Oh,
so normal for us, right?
yeah.
"Oh, it's okay," or like, "Oh, come here, it's all good." And it's like nothing. It's just like this past weekend we had rookie camp, and some poor rookie, local rookie, thought that Winky was, was dating the quarterback, because Winky was just kind of having her arm around him like this as he was talking. Poor guy is like 10 years younger than her. I mean, 11 years younger than her. He's good. He's like a child, you know. So yeah, these interesting cultural differences, man.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest ones. Like that to me, because it's still hard to break that. Because I mean, it's kind of programmed. Like, and I'm even like, as an American, I'm still actually probably one of the more social people.
Hmm.
I'm like definitely an extrovert. So it's been hard to break. And like now, living here long enough, I broke the touching thing. Like, like having a
Yeah,
conversation, like touch people's forearms or hands. Like, hey, you see a guy, like, hey man, like squeeze him on his shoulder or whatever. Like it's like nothing. It's like normal, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I think that's one of the bigger things too. Is that? But I think the difference is, like I said, back around when we go back to like poor Nick's getting picked on this whole show. Like Nick's like, hey, you want to go talk to that girl? That it's a level of comfort, right? It's a level of
yeah.
social
It
norms.
really
Like
is. Yeah,
you're even from the youngest age, you're kept in the same small social circle. You're not meeting new people, you know? And then
Hmm.
you go to university, and unless you've gone overseas or something like that, your chances are you're going to maybe reset your social circle, maybe, but then it stays the
Very
same in
true.
that. And but by then your cultural, like what's programmed for you is like a social norm.
Yeah.
It's kind of ingrained in you, so it's gonna be harder to break that. What you feel and perceive is comfortable. Like what I think is comfortable is gonna be very
Hmm.
different than with someone who's only been around like 30 people. And then like I know it changes a couple times in your as you grow up. You don't stay with the same 30 people, but like around your like elementary school it'll shift, and like middle school it'll shift, and high school it'll shift, but it only shifts a few times
Yeah.
in your life growing up in your young life. So I think that's the difference, where maybe there's a more of an independence and confidence
Hmm.
of
Well,
meeting
also like,
people you don't know from Westerners
yeah.
versus, here in Taiwan specifically.
Yeah, for sure. Like, but it's also like going back to what you were saying, right? Like when you grow up, you kind of expand that, you have 30 people and later on it's not the same. But here, I don't know in Taiwan, but here it is the same 30 people. The
Hmm.
people you go to elementary school with, you end up, it's the same friends you have because you live close because, it's districting.
Hmm.
So you end up kind of, you're going to the same school or you live close to each other. And so like, I always tell Winky or friends of mine that I was like, or my ex for that matter. I said like, I always find it so amazing that you can have friends from elementary school or from high school that you're still in touch with, because I'd be honest, I'd have never had high school friends. Maybe one person that I'm high school friends with that has moved back to Hong Kong that, we have a passive relationship with, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I
Like
always look
I
at,
really don't have anybody. I'm going back to my high school and stuff. I'm like, there's like, I have a few guys like maybe I'll just check in with, but that's it.
is Steve your high school friend?
No, Steve's out. I'll post.
Someday you guys will meet Steve. He's a cool guy.
Steve's super cool dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, we
Coming
need.
back,
Oh my god, we gotta have Steve on this show.
we have to have Steve on the show. Okay, Masaki got a good one. Coming back from Western culture, touching and hugging become normal. Often giving girls wrong messages. I need to be careful with that. Yes, that is so true. That is so true.
Masaki's
Masaki,
line contact list got really long when he got
that
back.
that is so true. Like, no, it's crazy because like, you know, you don't think about it, even though it's slightly more acceptable here. That if you're a white guy and you tap a shoulder, you grab an arm, that's normal. Like they thought, oh, white people are more passionate, right? They know this. A lot of girls here know this.
Yeah.
But then, for us, we don't think about these things, right? Because like I told my ex, look, I act the same way with my sister's friends. I act the same with my sister, and always like I don't think two minutes about what I'm doing, right? Because that's how I was just brought up. And then you just sometimes the difficulty for us is just like, we got to be extra careful. Like maybe the message that we sent out, it's not like, oh, no touchy. We don't want
Yeah,
like
you're sending
Stu
a
was
message.
saying,
You're basically
call the
moving.
police.
Like the touch is so much further down the social, like
Yeah,
the level of like the level of
that is so true.
intimacy. And I'm not saying like
Yeah,
intimacy as in like something that's like you're moving like wanting
the
to have
levels of
moving
the
to bedroom
relationship
fun,
that we
but yeah,
talked about
like
earlier.
the
You know,
touch is like in like at least in the States, like you do that with somebody, hey, it's meet you, nice to meet you, handshakes, like even a
yeah,
handshake,
yeah,
it's normal in the state. Well, not anymore with
that's
COVID,
right.
but like the
With
idea of even
guys, it's
touching
the
is,
handshakes. With
yeah.
the ladies, it's a hug.
But
It
even with
goes back
guys,
to
like
the
your bros,
defining
you give them a
stages.
hug.
Oh, I'm a
Yeah.
hug guy. You and I, we know.
Oh yeah.
We do this all the time, right? And like, it just goes back to the defining stages, right? In Hong Kong, I'm sure maybe in Taiwan, it's the same thing. Like, you go and you hug a girl. Well, that means something to them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That means that's sending that message. And you're sending the message, like we go full circle back to defining stages. The very first one is you're sending a message that you're progressing already closer to a next stage. Even
yeah,
if it's somebody
absolutely
it's
true.
like a distant friend or somebody in a friend circle, you go up and give her a hug. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Boom, you give her a hug. All of a sudden it's like,
Hmm.
whoa, he's interested
Yeah.
in me. Could be the
Whoa.
message you're
Yeah.
sending.
And to be honest, like, because when I don't know about you, so being from a slightly more very conservative Hong Kong and American background, we know the difference between that Christian side hug
Yeah.
and then that full body hug.
Yeah.
To me,
There's a very difference when you get an intimate hug, like you get a hug where somebody's interested in you. You know it. You're like, ooh, hey, that's
and then
not
or
friendly.
or then you learn the other hug, which is like somebody you actually have a friendship with, right? That it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, it's a friend of yours, and you're like, oh my God, I miss you, and I love you as my friend, right? And you give them a hug, and you and me, we know it. Me and another, like for example, I'll just put this out. Winky has a lovely sister, Crystal, and her and I are great friends, and I'll give her a huge hug, and she knows, like, I'm like a brother to her, and she's like my little sister, right? That's totally normal. But from an outsider looking in, or if it was someone else that doesn't know it, it could then, I think that's where like the misunderstanding.
Yeah, you can send a message even to other people in the group. Like you might be interested in one girl, but if you hug this other girl too, it could cause jealousy issues.
True.
It could be a lot of
Big
things.
Facts.
So these are like the nuances. These are definitely the cultural nuances that we've run into. We're
I think we definitely got to do another part for this one. I think we can. I think
we could really go
we
on.
touched upon. I think just like the Japan episode, this is a 10,000-foot look down on what it is like as a foreigner, living here, dating.
You know what I would
Asian
like to do? I think we could actually I would like to get some local people on. I think this is a topic that more than just me being like a foreigner living here just for a handful of years, somebody local.
Time out, Jono. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Shout out Coach Nick, big love, baby. We talked about you all night.
Yeah. Oh, Nick just got on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, by the way, like I know Nick just got on, he's gonna be in trouble. but
no,
to go
we
full
talked
circle
about
and
you,
think
Nick.
about
You're the man. Don't worry
the
about
thing
it.
about you talking about like Nick earlier. I think one of the biggest things to do is I would absolutely, I think if I was going to give anyone some confidence, and this goes to I think universal, and I think some people have talked about. I don't know if you follow some YouTubers, and there's a lot of people that talk about this confidence exercise. If you don't have confidence in being rejected, so I mean, I've done sale. I've done my previous life. I was a program manager for a Fortune 500 company. So, you get used to being yelled at and rejected in a massive level and failure. So 100%. I know you worked in a very similar type position. Yeah. So it's something you have to learn. You do not get this. It's not from birth. But I would say it would be good. And I would say the best thing to do is like do the rejection, and it's called ask for the 10% discount. So it's a 10% discount exercise. So next time you go to Starbucks, drink shop, whatever, right when you go to checkout, ask for 10% off. Yep. 99 times out of 100, they're going to tell you no. Like they're a clerk. I mean, they don't have any of the ability to do it. I mean, you might even get a yes, which is great. But the whole point of this exercise is not to worry about getting those yeses. It's about being told no and being rejected. And it's just 2 seconds. True. Like, hey, can I get a 10% discount on that today? Don't give them a reason. Just ask that. And they'll be like, oh, we can't do that. Oh, hey, no worries. It's no problem. And you just pay them anyway.
It's all good. That's right.
Because you're conditioning yourself daily to get a small rejection. And what happens is over time is the idea of being rejected isn't so painful anymore because you're like, well, it happens to me. It's happened to me every day for 100 days.
Happens to me all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're going to be much more open to meeting new people and be more confident walking up to somebody. Let's say you do see a girl you're interested in. Like, hey, I'm going to go talk to her, right? So what if she says no to you because you've been rejected 100 times? I know it's not the same thing, but it's going to sting a lot less, and you're going to be you're going to be much more confident walking up. And it's a good exercise for those out there that just want something, a small way to maybe fix this. And it's cross-cultural, right? But just do it every day when you get your normal bubble tea or whatever.
Additionally, I think I think this is something I think that you and I maybe can open up to a little before we open up the questions. That's also kind of helped me with my internet career, and I'm sure it's helped you as well. Because to be honest, when I first took up what I do now for my day job, it was not pretty, man. Ooh. Some of those comments were pretty nasty.
Yeah, and like
you gotta
the
have
comment
thick
section
skin for that. They're there. Like the comment section is there to keep you in check. That's what I kind of always thought about it to be, and
I've gotten good at looking at like just the regular hater comments and then actually getting constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And
I
the
love the
hater
constructive
comments
criticism. I
do
really
nothing
do.
to me. It's just like
Oh no,
whatever.
water on a duck's back.
Like seriously,
it didn't bother me at all. You know?
800 videos and I don't know how many you filmed. I've got like 800 or 900 now for me. Like there's nothing you're going to say to me to try to rattle me. Like that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Because I've already heard it all 1,000 times.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like I used to have a saying in corporate America, like I've been yelled at by people way more important than you.
Yes.
It's a great way to get
Yes.
fired from a company if you want
So
to say it
true.
to somebody's face. But like I've been yelled at by
But it's so true though.
like high ups, and I'm not going to name companies. I've been yelled at for not my mistakes, my team's mistakes, by powerful people and companies you very much know who they are. If I would told you who they are, so it's like. I've been in some really tough situations, but even then, the comment section of YouTube is savage. It is absolutely savage. So it does give you the scar tissue, but I do appreciate constructive criticism.
That's
always.
right. Me too. And so, like, to bring it all, to wrap this all up in a nice ribbon for a 10,000 feet above, top down look at what we're talking about today, as we define the stages. Hey, don't worry about getting rejected. You know, it's gonna happen. You know, strike out while you're young. Now is the time to do it. You know, go have an adventure. You know what the best thing for me, my mother is an ultra conservative Chinese and American woman. Get that through your head. She's conservative Chinese and a conservative American. She's further right than I am on the political spectrum. Okay, that's crazy. But I love my mom with all my heart. And but I'm just trying to say, you know, for my brothers out there who are looking to come here or are here and are looking for, you know, some love or like true love. I'm not talking about like just, you know, a fling. We can't help you. Look, you're on your own on that one. But look, be genuine, be yourself, you know, and if you're young, go live your life like we talked about earlier with Nick, right? Don't worry about it. You are here to become a high value man and think about what you're doing and put in the work at the gym, at your job, in your life, and grow your hobbies. And next thing you know, these other girls are going to be flocking to you. So don't worry about it. And that's the same thing that we can definitely give to our Western brethren there on this side too. So before we open up the questions, Jono, do you have anything to add to that?
No, man, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. It's, you know, you got to focus on yourself, like you said, and something we've been talking about this whole time. Like, try to make yourself the best version of yourself. Go find that purpose. Go build that company. Do that job. Start a YouTube channel. You know,
go live on yourself.
Make 100 videos on YouTube.
Move out.
You know, do what you can to build yourself up. And it can work at any time in your life. You don't have to be 20 years old or 22 or 25 to start this up. You can do it at any point. And just know that your time will come. The odds are definitively against you pre-30 years old. I think you're really, as a guy, between 30 and 35, you start to hit your stride. I think 35 is about the time you really are coming up into your own, where you're going to have wealth, you're going to have value, you're going to have a job or your own business that's doing something. You know, that's definitely where you want to be. Now, some people might be ahead of the curve, but I mean, I reinvented myself at what, 32? 31, 32. I left a very great job to start a YouTube channel, and I was making $1.25 a day. And you know,
one day we gotta have to do an episode, Jono, where you kind of have to talk about your life story, because like, remember that? I think last time
I got some wild ones, man.
You do. Like, I'm not gonna spoil it for everybody, but I'm just gonna say, between the Disney stuff and all the other stuff, that I didn't even find out until SHOT Show 2020.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like I don't talk about on my other channel. Yeah,
because it was at freaking the sushi place with Alan and Tim.
How did that topic come up?
Was about to die. I don't know how it happened, but that's how it happened.
That's something I don't really show. Like, I share with people.
It was. I moved off a little bit, and you took my spot, and you thought I was upset. I really wasn't. Just my throat was about to explode.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, Mark's pissed at me.
Like, no. I wasn't pissed. Just I was about to die. You know, and between that and Steve, I think, oh my God, like, we definitely have to do an episode
Yeah.
where you talk about that. Like it would be
I mean, I can
an
say like
absolutely amazing episode.
music videos, Disney, network television,
This guy.
donut food truck, uh, program manager for Fortune 500 technical company, and YouTuber. I just described my life. It's like the
Yeah, you did.
wildest ride.
You did.
It
You
is just
did.
like the like, and it's
did.
funny. I don't think of it like it, but you know, it's kind of a
Yeah,
wild
man.
one. Yeah.
Like I was listening to you talk about this with Tim, and I was like, what? Because like it was Steve who brought it up after.
Yeah,
I
Steve
think,
knows.
like,
Yeah, because like
I
my
think
super
after
close
4 or
circle
5
knows,
beers, Steve was like, "Oh man, you should see this guy." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Anyways, with that, you want to open up the questions,
Let's do it. Let's see what's going on in
or
chat.
like what everybody's talking about in chat
Stu's dropping some dad advice here. Don't waste a decade going. Okay, so Stu says, dad advice for me today: don't waste a decade going between relationships you shouldn't be in for the sake of being with someone right now, rather than someone right or to fill a void.
Yes, sir.
I
So
think,
true.
Wow. Okay, I think guys, yeah. I think everybody kind of does that. I think guys will stay with someone because they're complacent.
Yes and no. I'll let you finish first.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of guys will. There's a level of complacency, and this is me speaking for myself. Even for my, like, I'm even going back, God, like my marriage, like, you know, to stay in something longer than you should have, even though you knew, like, it was, you know, something was like, hey, you know, something needs to change here. You need to try to fix it, or you need to try to, you know, move on. I think women are more in tune when things are out of balance and will try to do something about it, whether it be send messages to try to get it fixed, or will try to move on, typically. I think the difference is that they have kids. That kind of changes the dynamic. I can't really speak to that. I never had kids, so.
Yeah, I have a slightly different take on that. I would say for guys, it's you know, find your value first. You know, don't let someone else dictate your life. You know, don't rely on someone else for your happiness.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
That's so
Let's
important.
just stop for a
because-
second. If I had like a rewind button, I would make it sound like do a rewind right now and go back. I want you to repeat that one more time.
Don't let somebody else. Don't rely on someone else for your happiness. That is so true,
Those
because
are the best words.
because let me be honest with everybody. Like, you know, I went through a really hard time. My parents left Hong Kong in 2007, and 2008 I really didn't know what to do, and all I was doing was I wanted to go find a job that I could have a good time with. And I started out as a party organizer, and I had my own company. I was 19 years old, making way too much money for my own good. You know, and
Easy come,
I
easy
was.
go, baby.
I was making way too much money for my own good. I was spending all this cash, and you know, back in the day, you know, you felt like, oh, I was OG, and I was wearing these designer clothes. You know, I was young and stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all my best friends in life were with me at that time. And my good friend Sheldon, who just moved back to Canada, he was right there with me. He was my graphics designer. You know, we were both young and dumb, right? He was like, oh, bro, go make it rain, go spend that money. And so, you know, I was at what I thought was the peak of my success. And I thought I fell in love with this girl who then later, you know, let's say she had other relations with a person I refer to as my best friend. And it was not a good time. You know, I was in a very bad place. I had to leave Hong Kong for a little bit of time to clear my mind. And I came back and I came back with a fresh mindset. And here's what I'm trying to refer to. Don't rely on somebody else for your happiness, is because I came back with a false sense of mind that, hey, I only have one chance at this, man. I got to make this work. I got to try to do something, you know, for somebody else, not for me, right? I think my heart was in the right place, but my mind was not in the right place. My mind was trying to be like, look, I got to do something for somebody else. It can't be me. It has to be somebody else. And that's how I was in a emotionally, mentally, and financially abusive relationship with my ex-girlfriend for 6.5 years, where I was convinced every day that it was my fault, not somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
And which, you know,
And I'm not going to get into the prevalence of BPD and all kinds of other things in relationships, and the percentage of people that are on some sort of psychological medication, that we could go to like this week. There's tons of men's channels if you want to like just like, golly, man, you can like go
Yeah.
find those. You can Google a lot of red pill channels, man, and they'll help you out down that path. But
Masaki, I only have this much Harushika left.
how much did you spill though?
I spilled a quarter of a small glass.
Okay, fair enough.
I was good. I was a good boy. I didn't waste.
I think all guys make that mistake, and I think a lot of guys don't learn from it. You know, like you did.
That is very true.
You know, I stayed in a situation that was, I'm not going to go. I don't want to, you know, because enough people know the name attached to my ex when I was married that I'm not going to disparage anything, because it wasn't bad. I learned a lot. It was a great relationship in some ways. I mean, we were, I would say, friends. But it was, you know, I learned a lot, and the end was painful, like always. You know, it's never easy, right? But it's, you know, it's something I came out of. I had quite a few relationships prior, and you know, both sides, bumpers. But you know, you do have to learn a lot of things, and I think you're right. I think the bonus for me is coming out of my divorce. I knew I needed to be right and be right with myself, and I was able to do that. So I at least already had that. I learned that actually at a very early on time, that I had to be that way. So it worked out, right? It worked out for me, and I think some guys don't get that, unfortunately. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you really do. You have to build yourself. You have to make, I mean, there's always a chance to do it. You can't ever say like, oh, it's over. And I think one of the best things, I think a lot of guys may say like, I'm just going to give up, right? And when we say like, you got to wait till you're 32 or 35 to have a chance, or in your 30s. I'm not saying go monk mode, right? Don't like,
No,
you know,
no, don't
don't
do
shave
that.
your head and put the robes on
Don't
and
do
be
that.
celibate
Don't
for
do
like
that.
7 years,
Yeah.
you know, but understand that you're up against some serious odds,
That's right.
you know, until you're able to better yourself. And if you can better yourself, if you can build your business, you can find a great career, you know, like check off the boxes of engineer, pilot, lawyer, doctor, you know.
Pilot.
Oh my gosh.
That's right, Nick.
Yep. We're talking about you, Nick, buddy. You know, you go to the gym, you get yourself in shape, you do all those things, you start earning that 6-figure salary, you start getting that, and then you're in the 1%, right?
Right. That's
And
right.
the girls that have made all those mistakes will now be knocking on your door, and you'll be like, I don't want you. You know, like, you know, you really could pick, you know, and you could, and it'll give you the opportunity to find someone who's truly good.
That's
you know?
right. So true.
For
So
you.
true.
When I say good, I mean a good match, a good complement for you, someone that is going to be joining you for your journey in life. I think that's
Yes.
it, really, more than
Yes.
anything.
Yes. Yes.
You know, if you watch those videos, it's someone who's in your frame, if you want to use the right terms. You know, someone who's in your frame that sees you as that high value guy and is willing to
right.
join your journey. So,
That's right.
God, we turned into a guy's podcast. What happened, man?
Oh man. Oh
Jeez.
hey, get back onto that relationship stuff. This
Yeah.
is kind of slightly heavy, but in a good way. You know, like I'll be honest with everybody as you're looking through other questions or topics in chat. You know, I'll be honest with everybody. You know, sometimes like I don't get an awful lot of opportunity to kind of, you know, talk about these things. The only people that I really get to talk about this is, well, with my significant other, and maybe with Coach Nick, and with some other people. And
Super
you
close
and I,
friends.
when we chit chat, like I think when you and I, when we meet up, it's literally, you know, I'm absolutely sure there's people here in this chat who know us for our day job. When
Yeah.
you and I meet up, I think for the first day, we don't even talk about our day job.
No, we have no.
we don't.
Because
We
both
don't
know what we
talk
do.
about our
It's
day
like,
job.
oh my God, I can talk
We
to
don't.
somebody.
Oh my, yeah. Like we're literally, we would talk about life, what's going on, how are we doing. We hug it out a couple times, and then we rewind and do it again.
Yeah,
You
I know.
And then maybe at the end we'll like touch on it a little bit, you know, or we'll leave it for the next day.
Maybe,
you know?
yeah. Like usually we're like, hey man, how'd you deal with it? Usually it's something very technical. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, I know you did this. What'd you think of this product? Like I ran into this issue with mine, and I'm like, you did that? Okay, that's a great idea.
Oh my
You know?
goodness, you guys should see us at IWA or at SHOT Show. We would just like talk about whatever else, and then if we have to talk about our day job, we'll speak in a different language.
I know, yeah, exactly. We're like, everybody's like, what are they
It's
talking
great.
about?
It's great. We'll sit there at a manufacturer's booth. Well, not the Taiwanese manufacturers.
Yeah, no.
No. It doesn't work like that. And we would be like speaking Mandarin to each other, or we would like just sit there in the middle of the booth and we just speak Mandarin to each other when Max is not there.
Yeah, when
And
Max
then
is there. The looks we get are
Max is
crazy
not there.
too. Like especially like if you see like at SHOT Show or something or whatever.
I think Europe is worse.
Yeah, you're they look at us like, is he speaking
like,
Mandarin?
Yeah, we have people come up to her. Are you guys speaking Chinese? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Oh, it was that one guy who took a picture with both of us. What was his name?
Oh,
I
no,
always, but you know what I'm talking about, right? The shorter guy,
Yeah,
really sweet guy. He was talking about his kid and his wife.
I know. What
The
was
last
his
time
name?
it was 2019 IWA. You and I were talking. He came up and chatted with us.
I know. I'm trying to remember now. I can picture him. I just don't know his name. I literally can see him in my brain.
It was because it was not like a typically pronounceable English name. It was a
No.
proper European, like a Central European.
Yeah, it
name.
was Central European name. Yeah, it was something that like a Lars or something along those lines, but I can't remember the name. So anyway, let's jump into the chat real quick. Robert Gain says, "Hey, he said to follow up on my thing. He's talking about like a situation he had. He was in a relationship that wasn't working for months before it ended, and literally a week later, he met someone that changed his life." And to follow up on that thing, after he met the person, it was the happiest he'd been in the time.
Are you talking about Rob?
Yes, Rob.
You know, to be honest, so I have a story about Rob.
Oh boy.
Rob and I met.
He said, actually, he says Mark can back this story up.
Yes.
That's what he can
Rob
say.
and I met at the Hong Kong Tattoo Show when he was doing it was an exchange program for the Baptist University of Hong Kong. And he was going to school in the UK, and he came and he was doing some filming. He was a journalism student. And it was early in the morning. Him and his friend Miles came over, and it was chit-chatting and stuff like that. And so we had the Red Wolf, we had a booth there because Clarence is friends with the guy who was organizing this, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, you know Clarence. Clarence knows everybody.
Yeah.
Clarence knows everybody, right? So Clarence's friend, who was the organizer for the tattoo show, gave us a booth. And so Rob and his friend Miles came really early. And then, like, I see Rob really far off, and I was like, well, that's a white guy. Hey, man, you want to shoot some airsoft guns? That's literally how it went. And he's like, he came over with Miles, and Miles is his friend from the US, and we were chatting. And we're like, oh, man, you come back, hang out, if you got nothing to do. And so Rob literally did that. When Miles was getting a tattoo, Rob came back, and we were chatting and hanging out. And later on that night, I was going out for drinks. And I was like, hey, you guys want to come along? And so they came along, and then one thing led to another. And then Rob was telling me he was a journalism student, and I was just kind of helping him out. 'Cause I had some good contacts at the time, and I introduced him to a bunch of my friends and help him with some homework and some reporting work. And he did an expose on me for his school project and stuff like that, on airsoft. And now he's kind of in with the UK airsoft community, Pew Hub and those guys, doing some media, and works with Red Wolf UK every once in a while. And good man. He was there with me at actually you've met Rob at IWA 2019. He was the guy. He was the white kid who was helping me film when I was running around.
Okay,
taller
yeah.
guy, kind of handsome, taller guy. That was him.
Okay.
So Rob was there.
Cool. All right, now I do know Rob then. Sweet. So yeah, but yeah, to his point though, like his story, like a lot of times as guys we end up staying in the situations longer.
Yeah, we do.
Then
we do. We
should.
always end up blaming ourselves. Like, guys, man, let me tell you, let me talk to you guys. Like, sometimes it's really not your fault.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really not your fault. So, it's gonna be okay.
Yep. It will be.
Oh, you helped them. You helped them
did.
film
I helped him
and
film
interviews.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh.
Yep. God, I miss IWA. I want to go back.
I
But no,
do.
to
For
your
real.
point though, real quick back. You're right. It's not. It's hard to describe. Like I've learned. Like I feel like I'm really in a good place, and it's taken me a long time to get here. And like
Same thing.
I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for, and in my situation right now, I'm very happy with where I am and who I'm with. Right. So I think Mark and you and I both talked about this, that we're both in pretty good situations, and it took a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And
really
missteps and just making dumb mistakes and then honest mistakes along the way to get there. right?
And then dumb honest
Yeah,
mistakes.
exactly. But yeah, I think so. And you know, it's finally the point where I feel like I've got a real clear head about life, and I'm pretty good. Again, this is so weird because like I feel like I'm so used to like talking about like my day job, right? And like this is like the most opposite. For those of you that are over here, you're seeing a very different side of myself and Mark. That's for darn sure.
Oh yeah, man.
Like we
Like
rarely open up, and like this is
we don't talk about this kind of stuff. Like number one, like it's for me, it's day job requirement, right?
yeah.
I don't talk about this for a lot of reasons, and job requirement is one
Hooked
of
on the
those.
internet now. Good luck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But like, like I said earlier, it's a small community. This is on
Yeah.
episode 6. I'll throw it out there. I'll let you guys know if whoever, hey, later on when we're at lots of subscribers and people who are listening to this, and you guys are going to realize that this person, Winky's the person I'm dating. Woo, great.
Yeah.
I'll deal with that when that happens.
I'm trying to think what we're gonna do next week. We gotta like maybe we start taking polls. Like
Yeah.
I'm wanting night markets to open back up because I kind of want to be able to do some filming at night markets and be able to drop it into some of these things and show.
Yes.
So that sounds like it's time is up. Is that the time is up,
Yes.
Bell? That's the time is up.
That is the time is up, Bill. But
right.
we have a few minutes because two of our sessions we ran over. So
Yeah.
we have a couple of minutes. We have about
Stu,
like 3
we'll
minutes.
end with this. Stu says it took me 3 months to get into my second relationship and 6 to get out. So
Yikes.
Yeah.
We've all been there, my brother.
in
We've
abusive
all been there.
relationships. Oh yeah, I've been on the abusive end. I think it's something a lot of guys don't talk about is being on the receiving end of abusive relationships.
Yeah, it's very true because like, chivalry plays a part in it. We don't want to be, it's not about being macho. It's not about a masculine thing. It's, I'm, how to put it?
You and I
I'll
are
put it
both
like
Southern
this.
boys, right? So like
Yes.
in the South of the USA, we're kind of taught to have like manners and respect, and like it's something really ingrained in
Yeah, it really is.
a guy. Like it's I would say it's a traditional values, but like as we're raised, like you open a door for a woman and people
It
who
should
are
never,
older than you,
it should be
and
natural.
it is. It's all and it's please and thank you, yes or no, sir. I mean, it's like all the manners are programmed into us. So
Yes.
sometimes we can get taken advantage of.
Yeah, it
and
really is.
it's hard to it's hard to speak up because typically it's like, oh, you're
Yeah,
supposed to tough it
you
out,
go through it sometimes, and yeah, you're supposed to toughen up, and you're supposed to take one for the team, and you're supposed to just kind of soldier on and look at yourself in the mirror every morning and say, hey, if you can do better, and don't complain.
Mhm.
Stop being a bee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you're taught, and not necessarily what you're taught, but that's almost kind of like, look, man, like if no one's gonna do it, who's gonna do it? So we got to do it, right? And but yeah, sometimes we get the receiving end of it too, and it's okay to kind of stop, breathe, do what's good for you, and move on.
Yeah.
You shouldn't need someone else to dictate your happiness.
But you need
That's what
someone
you
else
gotta
to
be.
do. Mash that
What?
sub button.
Yes, and the notification bell.
Yes, you should because we do stream every single week.
Mondays.
You like
Yes,
that segue?
sir.
You like that, man? That was
is-
just right.
Dude, it's like you do this for your day job.
No, that was almost Linus Tech Tips like merch plug moment there. So, Ho Chi Young says, "Hey, we should do an event with our fans in the future. Hey, we could once things
100%.
open back up, and I don't have to do like a 2-week
100%.
quarantine in a hotel when I come back to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Then yeah, we'll start traveling. I would love to do something maybe in Hong Kong. We could do something here in Taiwan, and then maybe something stateside.
100%. We would love to. I would love to. I don't think anyone in the chat would not want to not even just like the hopped up stuff. Just we got to do some live IWA podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Still trying to figure out
ideally-
IWA. Still trying to figure out
Ideally,
IWA.
we've had, Jono and I, we've had discussions about this offline about, we want to take the show on the road. And that's the eventual goal. We want to be able to go to different Asian countries and sit there with our lights and with the mobile studio and do these episodes everywhere else, right? And with people who come and hang out with us. And so ideally that's what we want to do. And we want to do these meetup events, and what better to do than hopefully when things open up, we can do this. Get drunk together. That's after the live ends.
Yeah, you gotta stay,
know?
yeah.
That's
Pace
right.
ourselves. We're on camera. Like right now, it's like really weird actually having like any kind of alcohol. Usually, the only thing I have is like I get like caffeinated before I get on the show.
Oh yeah, a lot of coffee.
Yeah, lots of coffee.
If you really want to see like the raw me, tune in on like Wednesday morning Hong Kong time at 9:30.
Oh, your Tuesday night fight, your Tuesday night show.
Oh my goodness, my Tuesday night airsoft podcast. I'm like 3 coffees in by the time you see me, and I'm still like half dead.
Oh yeah, and Masaki says Japan episode's got to happen. We're totally gonna do that.
100%. Japan episodes has to happen for sure.
On the flip side, my day job, I'm actually thinking about, Mark, since I've been doing the live stream thing here with us, I'm thinking about actually doing my Q&A video on, because you do the Wednesday morning. I think about doing a Thursday morning here in Taiwan time, which will be a Wednesday evening for my Q&A, and actually filming it live on a stream on the other channel, on my day job channel.
I think that would be really cool.
So
I'll be in there. I'll jump in there.
Jump in, yeah. It'll be early morning here. So it'd be like, you'll probably be at the office.
Or I'll be on my way.
Be on the way, it'd be like 9 a.m.
9 a.m. I'll be just rolling in.
We're same time
I'll
zone.
be on my phone.
So
I'll be on my phone. Don't worry, but you just hit me up.
Because what I would do is I'd probably like just kind of like a chill chat for a while and then start plucking questions from chat. I'll still pluck some from the questions of the previous week, and then actually like have a definitive like, hey, we're going to start filming at 9:30, 9:45, and actually do the proper show, which I'll edit. So they'll be unedited, and then wrap, and then we'll still chat some more. So
that sounds good, man. I like that. Oh, sorry. Before we end,
yes,
Rob shot me a DM. He said he'd love to do tech support for us if we do IWA and and Japan.
Oh,
Rob, I know. Look, man. If you need tech support stuff, I know you'd be down to help us. Rob has gotten to the point where he's just gonna shoot me the DMs. Yo, I'll film for you. Just make sure I'm there. Anyways, so, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where we're gonna call it. John, what do you think?
yeah, I think so too. I'm actually typing in chat right now.
Look, this has been a fantastic episode. This has been something that's on my heart for a long time, and I'm so glad that you guys have been here to share it with Jono and I.
Yeah.
We want to talk about some dating differences, but we ended up talking about a lot of life stuff. And as a 10,000 feet above, top-down look at dating in general, I think this is a good jumping off point for more things to come, and we can jump into more specific topics as we go forward. We would love to have local people jump on as well. Yeah. So I guess, hey, thanks for hanging out with us on this Monday morning, Monday afternoon, or Monday evening.
Yep. And also for you, make sure you follow your social. Right now we actually maybe need to peel off our socials and actually have our own independent social.
Christopher Bidgood, thank you for your subscription.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if that's been there for a while. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think that might be there. I don't know. I didn't see any. There's no activity.
Hey, Christopher, thank you for subscribing to us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I have to look. I don't know. The activity stream's not working, so it may be something legacy, or it could be somebody who's actually in chat. So yeah, for us, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. My brain went dead.
For us, look,
done.
We want to take the show on the road when things open up right away. We want to come hang out with everybody as much as we can right away. Hey, if anybody's in Hong Kong, you want to hang out, hey, shoot me a DM on Facebook, and we try to make it happen.
Socials, yeah. So that's what I was talking about. Socials. Make sure we have our socials out there. For me, just hit me up on Airsoftology right now. It's pretty much every social is just at Airsoftology. And I know Ho Ching Young was asking, it's like Airsoftology is a little quiet recently. It is, yes. I'm going to start doing the live stream as like the core show. So it's going to be the Q&A show. So I'll do it. And then the live stream will, if you don't join, I'm going to take the live stream down and it's going to be replaced with the actual proper Q&A that comes from that live stream. So it's going to kind of be a behind the scenes thing. But beyond that, there's still more to come. I've got like 3 or 4 videos in the can. I got a lot of videos that are on hold because the release of the product is delayed because of material, but I got them early, so it's killing me. I'm like done with a bunch of reviews that I can't do anything with. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, can I publish
I know
this?
that
They're like,
feeling.
they're
I
like,
know that
well, no,
feeling
no,
very
we're still
well.
in, we're still in production. We're still in production. Like, wait, like, I was like, but you told me we done like a month ago, you know, like I have like so many videos like done. It's crazy. But, yes, on that. So you're wondering. Also, there's a big announcement I'll be doing probably in about 2 weeks, and you're going to understand why I've been a little quiet. Airsoftology is still around, it's still going. It is not going to change. Don't worry about that. But there's a lot going on. Mark knows in my life. So,
Yes, I do.
so you'll know it here too. I'll share with everybody. It's a very big life. I would say life change. It's something.
100%.
It's something good. It's something very positive. So
Yeah.
so anyway, Stu, Robert, Ho Chi Young, Nelson, Winky, Masaki. Golly, let me go back up here. Who else? Tom. What else? See if I missed anybody who's been in the chat. Scrolling.
We had a bunch
through.
of pretty strong people
All
coming
of
in the
y'all,
chat today.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us. Oh my goodness, you guys are awesome, you guys and gals. Julian,
Absolutely.
I saw Julian in there too. Let's make sure. I'm trying to see Private Bumpkin if he's still around.
Yeah, Private Bumpkin. You're the man.
Always here,
man.
yeah, like always here. Like Hooching on Private Bumpkin are always here.
Putting the coffee on, you know,
Yep.
representing.
So
I like it.
And then Tulsa person actually jumped in with the plum sake. So all of y'all, thank you so much for being a part of the show and jumping in chat. After we have this thing live, if you want us to talk about something specific, put it in the comment section below this
Yeah.
video. Hit us up, DM us, slide in our DMs. We'll be happy to do it. Like Mark was saying, hit him up on Facebook. Hit me up on IG. It's probably the best way. Or you can hit me up on YouTube. But YouTube, I'll do a post on Airsoftology. We can't do posts on this channel yet until we hit 1,000 subs. So
Yeah, so
kinda
that's
the
why we want
downside.
you guys to sub as much as possible. So like, if you think like this channel would be interesting for your friends or friends of yours or like long form conversations, you shoot this over to your friends,
Yeah.
man. Like if they're like I always say, if they're folding laundry or doing dishes,
like there's a share button
It's
right
great.
about there somewhere.
Yeah,
Actually,
somewhere there.
below my finger, like way down there. There's a share button. Like you just please send it to them. It'd be awesome.
yeah, and then have them come hang out, and we can come hang out together next time.
Yep. So cool. Thanks a bunch. I'm
Stay hopped
Jonathan.
up, everybody. I'm Mark.
Yep. And you already said it. Stay hopped up.
Stay hopped up.
See you guys next
Hey.
week.